Good morning, YouTube. My name is Yusuf and you are watching my news channel. First, I want to apologize for the video that I made yesterday because I forgot to actually plug in the microphone and the sound was being recorded with the speakers of my laptop and the sound was consequently very bad. So, sorry for that. Not intentional, I was actually in a hurry yesterday. So, hopefully it works this time. Let's see what's happening. Today, so actually there's a sun diving comet, which I will cover in a moment. But let's take a look at other things as well. So we have that sunspot 2822, which has a beta gamma classification, and it still has the potential for M flares. However, at the moment of speaking, it is rather quiet. It's not flaring much, but this is usually the case when they start facing Earth. I don't know how this happens, but once they actually pass through the middle, let's say, of the sun, they become active again. This has to do once they face Earth, usually they diminish in activity. So let's take a look at the solar wind. The solar wind is actually subsiding. Intensity, as you can see in orange, but also in speed, as we can see in purple. The phi angle should suggest actually that the solar wind comes from different directions, sometimes pointing away from the sun when it is in the middle between these values, sometimes when it points towards the sun. So there's a little bit of variability when it comes to the direction of the solar wind, but the intensity is very low. As we can see, the values are hovering around 0, so this is a very stable solar wind, not intense at all. Looking at the KP index, it actually reflects what we've been seeing. The values are indeed very low when it comes to the KP. So, looking at the Enlil spiral, let me just run that model. Okay, let's go back to today, 11th. So we are actually exiting, as you can see, the dense part of the solar wind, and coming into this void where the particles are slightly accelerated. So consequently, we will, as we see here in the coming hours, have an even lower count in protons, but a slight increase in speed, as seen over here. So what can we expect in the following days? And this is actually exciting. So we have first that CME, of course, which will hit either the 12th or the 13th. So either tomorrow or Thursday. Then we have almost at the same time, and this is the interesting part, a solar wind stream that comes from actually this narrow coronal hole. And this might hit us the 13th or the 14th. So we could actually have both at the same time. If this CME hits a bit later, for example on Thursday instead of Wednesday, and this coronal hole arrives a bit earlier, also in Thursday, we would have a dense stream of protons over here, and we would also have an increase in solar wind because of this coronal hole over here. So this is actually very interesting development. I will follow it and cover when it actually impacts our planet. Also, of importance, today we are actually having a new moon. And this is very important because a new moon blocks the Sun-Earth connection. And typically, one day before and one day after, the effect of this is felt because especially after the new moon, and this is tomorrow. So if that CME actually arrives tomorrow, when that connection reestablishes between Earth and the Sun, it might create a shock along with that CME. So it might strengthen the impact of that CME. But this we will have to see tomorrow to confirm it. And also in general, a new moon strengthens earthquakes, weather systems on our planet, and even volcano eruptions. But this has a greater impact when there is actually already a strong solar wind going on, because it blocks that magnetic field, that IMF, and then reestablishes it once the moon, one day later, when the moon actually is not facing Earth completely. So we will have to see tomorrow if there is an increase in activity because of the new moon. And now the sun diving comet, what you've been all waiting for. So apparently yesterday there was a sun diving comet, as you can see over here and also over here. Let me just refresh that, because I do believe, oh, let's just wait. No, we have to refresh this because there it is. I'm going to show now two different movies from Soho. One from the C2 coronagraph, and one the C3, and from different days. So this is the 10th, and as you will see, I did it a little bit slow so you can actually see that beautiful comet. In fact, let's just do it even slower. There it is. Up, disappears into the sun. But then what I wanted to emphasize is actually this comet already shows on the movie of the 9th. And why is this interesting to play? Because in my opinion, that CME and even the filament eruption that happened on the sun was caused by a comet. Now most people think when they see a comet, that especially when you look at what the consensus says, that they are just icy balls traveling through space. This is not true at all. Comets are electrically charged, and usually that charge is opposite of that of the sun, both electrically and magnetically. And I noticed that when a comet crosses a certain distance between the sun, there is everything on the sun, whether it is a solar flare, a filament, or anything that's already present on the sun, becomes much more active. If it is a sunspot like that region, it produces a CME. If it is a filament, it erupts, etc., etc. And this is, in my opinion, because at that particular moment the comet starts to interact electrically, establishes a connection. Just like Earth has an IMF with the sun, the comet at a certain point establishes this connection, and this is what triggers all that activity on the sun. This is of course also dependent on the size of the comet and of course the charge that it is carrying. If it is a bigger comet, usually this connection starts before a little bit further, already establishes, and you could see that CMEs already starts to pop long before it reaches the middle of that distance, of this particular distance. So there you have it, a beautiful comet in all its glory, triggering a CME and a filament eruption before diving into our sun. A very brave comet. So let's take a look at the earthquakes for today. There isn't much going on, but I expect this to change tomorrow, because remember, the CME could arrive, as I pointed out, along with that CME, so the solar wind from that corona hole could arrive at the same time with that CME, if this CME hits the 13th and the corona hole also the 13th. So on Thursday, this will be interesting to see if they actually are both present, both the CME and the solar wind at the same time. And this could, of course, trigger bigger earthquakes all around the globe. So this is definitely something to monitor. Also, what we have to monitor, especially if there is a geomagnetic storm, this is especially this volcano, because this volcano is still active. Most people think that the activity has completely subsided. This is not true. You can still see the heat sometimes the lava gushes out, especially from this crater. But you can also see around still lots of activity. So if there is a geomagnetic storm, don't forget to check, especially this volcano. This is the Geldinggaladur volcano. Let me show you which one it is. So when you look at my web links, you will see in the geology section that you have a link. Let me just show that where it is exactly located. Over here, I believe. Yes, it is the second link in geology blogs. So you have webcams, Iceland volcanoes live. And when you click on this link, you arrive here. This is the starting page, and you just have to click on the last one, Geldinggaladur volcano. You click on it. This is live. You just have to expand it, and look at this, ladies and gentlemen, alive and kicking. Look at this. Look how beautiful this is. Isn't this nice? You can see there's a lot of activity going on. Now, most people think that the action is over in Iceland. This is not true, especially not in this volcano. So if there is a geomagnetic storm, don't forget to check this live webcam, because this volcano is very much active, I can assure you, and it is putting on a beautiful show, as you can see. So there you have it. Don't forget to check it out. So, oh yes, before I end the video, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications, otherwise you will miss any future content that I make. And actually, if you liked the video at this point, don't forget to hit the like button either. So before I end the video, I want to stress out that I will make a new video about the weather. I mean, only covering the weather, polar vortex and such. This is actually still a very interesting topic, because as you can see, this is, for example, the 10 millibars cross section of the atmosphere, and the polar vortex is still not where it is supposed to be. It is hovering around the northern part of Russia, around Siberia, instead of over the Arctic. And if we look at the jet stream, this creates an erratic jet stream pattern that has implications. If I go to the 250 millibars, this becomes evidently obvious, especially for Europe. We see the biggest anomaly over Europe, sadly, because I live in Belgium, and it has a tendency to plunge towards the lower latitudes. It goes all the way to North Africa, and this isn't supposed to happen. But also elsewhere, for example, here the jet stream is stretched, elongated, it goes to the Arctic, so warm air pours into the Arctic over here, and cold air pours down to Europe, along with low pressure systems that follow the jet stream, and this brings hot, moist air to Spain, to France, to the UK, to all these regions, while at the same time colliding with cold, dry air coming straight from the Arctic. And this creates storms, this creates bad weather, cold weather, lots of rain, extremes, and these will get worse as we go into summer, because then these clashes between these two wind types will generate thunderstorms or even tropical storms. These low pressure systems will become more intense, and usually they hover around the Arctic. But here you can see there is a door which leads them straight to Europe, so I'm a little bit afraid if this persists, we could see extreme weather in the summer, very nasty weather. But hopefully this will change by summertime. Okay, this is it, people. As usual, I will cite a philosophical quote, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel, otherwise you will miss any future content. This would make me really sad. So, I believe it was number 35, if I'm not mistaken. Oh yes, yesterday it was 35. Let's see what 36 has to say. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This is so true. We only think about our own problems and how bad we have it, but everyone has his own issues, and the last thing you want to do is to vent off your problems to other people, because they might be in a worse situation than ourselves, and this will only make things worse. So, This is it, the end of the video. I sincerely hope you liked it, and I guess we see each other next time. Bye bye.